Do not have a pair of 3D glasses. Hands up. Alrighty, looks like we're good to go there. We'll need those just once on the tour, so this is the only place we can get them. Want to make sure you have those. Other friends to help along the way. I am not doing this by myself, as you can probably tell. I am not driving the tram, thankfully. I am not looking at the road, but somebody who is our driver, Mike. Everybody say hi, Mike. That's right, Mike's gonna get us around the lot at a fast and furious 5 to 10 miles per hour, depending on what we encounter back there. I'm gonna have some help myself, though. I'll introduce now my co-host. He is our master of ceremonies and the host of the Tonight Show. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
JT.
And the greatest driver.
Mike.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
JT
owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right, we just covered that stuff, guys. Just a reminder, though, if you do need assistance at any point, reach up, pull that red E cord above you, and I'll be back to assist you once it's safe to. Now, here we go. We're going to head down what we call the Universal Timeline. This big hill will take us all the way down onto the lot. You'll see all these movie posters as we go. See how many of these you have seen. I'll talk you through the history of it as we go through the years. Let's go back to the very beginning. March 15th, 1915. That's when Carl Laemmle, our founder there, came out and opened up the studio lot. Yes, that means today is our birthday of sorts, you could say. 110 years ago. That is a long time to be in business or anything, but that was the day Carl opened up the studio lot and for the first time ever invited the public in to see how movies were made. For 25 cents, you could come on property, walk around from set to set, and watch them film stuff right in front of you. It was a silent film era, so that was possible in a way it's not today. But once the silent film era ends, our walking tours ended with it. It wasn't until July of 1964 we revived some kind of tour of property. Now, over the years, we fully realized Carl's dream as well of becoming the strangest city in the world. As you see on your right, we are a real city in and of itself. We've got our very own fire station there. We've got our sheriff's substation. We've got our own zip code, the whole 9 yards. You are in Universal City, the only movie-making city of its kind, and we are headed right into the heart of it, the studio lot. We're going to go through our front lot first, which has most of our sound stages on it today. The very first sound stage you're going to see is right there on our left coming up, stage 12. Home to some of our most iconic sets. It is our oldest and largest soundstage, built back in 1928. It's about 30,000 square feet, but it's just the first of many we're going to see as we hit the front line. Here we go, guys. Right there to your left, real working stages. Stage 11, home to the Max Original Hacks recently with Jean Smart, who just won a Critics' Choice Award, a Golden Globe. She's won an Emmy all 3 seasons of the show so far. So a lot of success coming out of that stage recently. We've got 9 and 10 here in the middle. These were home recently to season 2 of our Peacock show, Ted, with the world famous talking teddy bear himself, who we might see in just a little bit. 7 and 8 there on the end. Home to Bel-Air, our most streamed Peacock show. A spin-off of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They film all around the lot. They film in stage 14, which is the next one we're going to see as we turn this corner. 14 is our second largest soundstage. Used to be stage 21. You're going to see it say that in this clip I'm going to play in a second. It's been home to some of our largest sets, Mel Crumpet and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Another Ron Howard film, Apollo 13. This is where we built Mission Control.
Realism was an essential element for Apollo 13. After all, we were recreating an important moment in American history, a moment many Americans witnessed on television. We thought about filming in Houston, Texas, where the original control room for the Apollo missions still exists. Unfortunately, NASA's engineers didn't have filmmaking in mind when they built Mission Control. Since there was no room for the elaborate camera cranes and tracks we needed for the shots, we had to build our own Mission Control.
And that's a great example, guys, of the benefit of having your own studio lot. And especially the sound stages, being able to recreate a setting that would be hard to get a cast and crew to in the real world, or creating recreate things from scratch, things that don't exist at all. Jurassic Park, that's another cool one for stage 14. The very first time they ever see a dinosaur, the Brachiosaurus. That whole scene done right within those walls. Several others from that film. And we got plenty more stages coming up here on your right. You've got 16 through 19 there. These have been home to some of our biggest sitcoms over the years. The Jeffersons, Martin, Coach, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, to name a few. We've got Loot using those right now. That's an Apple TV series starring Maya Rudolph. You might know her from SNL or Bridesmaids. 19 here on the end, home not too long ago to Oppenheimer, our now 7-time Oscar-winning film, including our 11th Best Picture win. They filmed all their Oval Office scenes right here. Now, we picked up a couple more Oscars just a few weeks ago, guys. We won 2 for Wicked, 1 for Conclave. Speaking of Wicked, though, we are passing now here on our left our famous little bungalows, where some of the biggest production companies in the business are working right now, as well as our friend Ted, who I mentioned we might see. He's welcoming us with a toast celebrating Wicked's Oscar wins. Mark Platt Productions, the team that produced Wicked, they work out of these bungalows. We'll see their bungalow in just a minute. Toward the back, they've got this big Wicked balloon thing in front of it. Illumination, that's the team behind the Minions we just passed. Working Title Films, their bungalow we passed by, that's the team that produced The Substance, another Best Picture nominee this year, starring Demi Moore. You've got Kevin Williamson's office here. He's the writer of Scream, created shows like The Vampire Diaries. Speaking of spooky stuff, we've got Alfred Hitchcock's old office coming up just down toward the end. A very popular spot on this lot.
Lou said he could move into that office. I said, no, I can never be in Hitchcock's office. That should be a shrine, a museum.
Very exciting just to know that he was there and walk by and know he was in that office. Hitchcock had been working everywhere. I saw Hitchcock once walking around the commissary.
Hitchcock had his bungalow on the line. I used to go see Alfred Hitchcock.
I love working with him. I highly respect him.
Bungalow 5195, passing by that to your left to see that iconic silhouette.
Birds.
On the front of it, that's just about the end of the bungalows as well. We will be getting more Hitchcock history in just a little bit. Right past those, though, are some more of our sales stages. The last few we'll see for a bit. 25 there, stage 25. That's home to Lopez versus Lopez, starring George Lopez. And their neighbors, stage 26, home to St. Dennis Medical, a new workplace sitcom. Lopez versus Lopez airs Fridays on NBC. St. Dennis Medical's Tuesday nights on NBC, if you want to check either of those out. Those do end our front lot, though, guys. We're going to transition now to our back lot, which is what you probably think of when you think of a movie studio lot. This is where all of our exterior sets are, sets you can see. But first, we're going to be kicking things off on the back lot with a little bit of a bang. We're going to journey off the mainland for a minute and out to Skull Island, where we have a date with King Kong. We're going to immerse you in the world of visual effects, take you out of all this practical stuff, and bring to life one of our icons. This is a little look at how we bring to life some of these things, visual effects, things like CGI, computer-generated imagery, and perhaps a little sneak peek at what lies up there at Skull Island. As we make our way up to the island, guys, I'm going to throw it over to director Peter Jackson to tell you a little more about what to expect.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up an adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island. It was great to have you along for the ride. Now we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
That's right, guys. If you could tell by the name and that very warm, welcoming entrance, things do get a little bumpy around these parts, so stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the tram at all times. Hold on to all of your valuables, everything you don't want to go the rest of the day without. Your cell phone, your children perhaps. Before we head on to the island, we have a team clearing a safe pathway in for us. In the meantime, I'm going to throw it back to Peter Jackson. He's going to tell you guys a little bit more about Kong himself and other things we might need to know before heading in.
We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. You know, he is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart. The most important feature with Kong are his eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderfully expressive. They're full of emotion. His eyes are like a window into his personality and his heart. He's had an enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rexes and the various dinosaurs on Skull Island, so he's been beaten up, scarred, you know, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times, and he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
Alrighty, guys. We're getting word from our crew right now. They have cleared the path and are opening the gates as we speak. King Kong 360. You guys.
They're looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that we're working on.
You have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts. Because it's one giant shot. This tram that's dragging it along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away. We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Alrighty guys, we've escaped Skull Island. We are winding our way further into the backlot now. We're going through a part of our Metropolitan sets. The first examples of these exterior sets. The street we went down, this is London Square, designed to have a more European look. It's been London in the Mindy Project, Marvel's Agent Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., both from Disney. We've got an event setting up on the sort of backside of the Metro sets today. A lot of production's been on the Metro sets lately. Suits LA was just filming in here last week. Probably the busiest of all of our backlot sets. as they're pretty adaptable as well as most of our sets are. They are lots of specific things made about them. The materials that are used, all that brick and stone, it's not really brick or stone. It's made of mostly plaster, plywood, and plastics. Makes it easier to adapt from production to production, something that wouldn't be the case out in the real world. But just behind them here on your left, guys, are a couple of the sound stages we do have on the back lot. We don't have as many back here as our front lot. But these are home to some of our live audience shows. Stage 30 right there, home to The Voice. You might have noticed their logo right there. One of our voice coaches from last season, Reba McEntire, is still working on the duck, geese spotting. They got lots of wildlife back there. Ducks here in Park Lake, as we call it, right in front of where Reba filmed her new sitcom, as I was going to mention. It's called Happy Place. It is Friday nights on NBC. But Park Lake there, a long history on our lot. Way before those stages were built. You can go back to 1954 when we turned that into the Black Lagoon. Ducks and geese are not the only thing lurking down in those murky waters. We're talking about the Creature from the Black Lagoon. One of our classic monsters. We're headed right into monster territory, guys. We're also about halfway through the tour. This would be a good time to remind you if you need assistance at any point, if you have an emergency or drop something, can't wait to use the restroom, reach up, pull that ready cord. I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to. Otherwise, remember, please stay seated at all times, especially as we head right into the heart of monster territory, what we call Little Europe. Light your torches and go! Here we go, guys! Just like all those angry villagers right through the streets of Little Europe, this is the birthplace of the monster movie. Films like Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, Wolfman, they all filmed right here. Huge part of our legacy. But as you look around, it's also very colorful in your life, which makes Little Europe a really good place to be the good place with Kristen Bell and Ted Danson.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead. This location, the afterlife. I've never ever seen this.
See the shop on our left on the corner, the red and blue doors and windows right there. That is the yogurt shop on screen, right where the scene takes place.
Bad place?
Maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
No, it doesn't, Christian. But what does sound awesome, guys, is the Court of Miracles coming up on the right. This part of Little Europe has been featured in films like Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston, Princess Diaries 2, A Royal Engagement. Pedro Pascal was just here. He filmed, there's a Corona commercial airing on TV with him right now. They filmed most of that right there. Sabrina Carpenter did an Olympics commercial last summer where she was sitting at a cafe in Paris. Was actually sitting right there in Little Europe. Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman to take it back to those monsters again. Huge part of our legacy, as I was saying, the monster movies kept our studio in business back in the 30s and the 40s. So without them, it is very likely we would not be here at all today. Gotta give them credit where credit is due. They're gonna be a huge part of our new park, opening up May 22nd down in Orlando, Universal Epic Universe. They're gonna have a land in that park called the Dark Universe, themed completely around the monster movies. We also just announced a brand new park in Las Vegas, Universal Horror Unleashed, a park that is horror themed all year round. It's like Halloween Horror Nights all year. So again, these monsters are really a huge part of our DNA, maybe more than anything is. So again, we love them. We're going to talk more about them probably later, but for now we have escaped Little Europe and we pulled up to Soundstage 50, which is what we would call a hot set. That means it's fully dressed and ready for filming. This would be a cool time to talk about art direction, a little film term there for you. That is basically the sets themselves, the design, the look, the aesthetic, everything that goes into bringing a set to life. The architecture, the lighting, the colors that are used, every prop that you see. These things go a long way in establishing something like location, time period, the overall tone perhaps, or the genre of the production. These are some of our best or most elaborate examples of that on screen. Art direction kind of falls underneath the umbrella of production design, which is just the overall look of a film or a show, which has to be consistent across the sets, the costumes, hair and makeup, lighting, sound design. Production design is a category at the Oscars, one that we happened to win this year for Wicked. One of the two Oscars it won was production design.
Desperate, that's when you got no choice.
So these are all some great examples of that stuff, guys, but some good news is production's going to allow us to come inside stage 50 real quick. We spoke with them. We're going to head in. You're going to get a chance to kind of see all this in real time. Try to use all those details we were just talking about to look around and figure out perhaps what kind of scene are they filming. What's the genre of this production in the sound stage right now? You look around, you see all those details. You see, everything is ready. It is a hot set. In theory, they could start rolling. So remember to stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the tram. We shouldn't have to worry about that. We spoke with production. We'll take a quick look and get out of their way. But you see, everything is ready. Camera's ready. Right at the director's chair. The director just has to show up and call action. And start. Whoops, guys. Hot set 101. Don't say the word action unless you're ready. Looks like we're rolling. So hold on tight. So that was a recreation of Los Angeles when it rained earlier this week. Just kidding, actually, that was only Earthquake, the big one, inspired by the disaster film Earthquake. If you looked at all that art direction stuff, you would have noticed the location was San Francisco. That opened up some 40 years almost ago on the tour, inspired by the film again, which came out in 1974. After Earthquake, the movie, comes out that year, Universal was going to follow it up with an even more terrifying movie at the end of that year, Christmas of 74. But this next film we're going to talk about got delayed from Christmas 74 to summer of 75, which was not a popular time to release movies back then in summer. This film changed all that, though. It became the first ever summer blockbuster. And we're heading into the setting of the film right now, guys, Amity Island. If none of that's ringing any bells, look to your right. I bet that's a dead giveaway right there. We're talking about Jaws. That's right. Good news, guys. They caught the shark. If you wanted to plan a little beach trip today, perhaps maybe Amity could be your next stop. Wait a second. Yes, I'm not sure the coast is clear. Actually, we have divers out there still right by the boat. That's George, guys. If you can help, hey George, buddy, get out of the water. Swim to the boat. Oh God. Yikes. Oh, poor George, it was his first day. This last. Now, more than ever, guys, stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the tram. There is still a shark in the water. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of smiles for a shark attack, guys. I hope that means that you all survived. Yes? Looks like it just barely squeezed through. Okay. Ooh, another close call there. We're gonna get out of Amity before we run into any more apex predators. We'll say goodbye and rest in peace to our friend George. Or in pieces, I guess. We're gonna head down to our next destination, Old Mexico, where we will talk about and see how we can add water to a set. Not quite like it is there in Amity, but in a different way. We'll elaborate, we'll demonstrate a way to do this using practical effects. So practical effects in production terms, that just means everything's being done on set in real life. No visual effects involved, no CGI. So heading into Old Mexico, you look around. It's a nice lovely day, nothing out of the ordinary, but we're gonna change all that. We're gonna add in some weather elements. Let's say you're filming a scene and you need thunder and lightning. We can add that. We're using strobe lights and speakers. Just placed strategically around set. Now let's say you want to add some rain into the mix. What we'll do there essentially is raise a sprinkler system high above set, and at that point you just flip the on switch. And there you go. Movie making magic. If you got a sprinkler at home, you got a movie waiting to be made. Now rain by itself might make a scene feel sad or romantic, but throw in all those thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. Suddenly the tone shifts. Things have become ominous. Maybe there's something dangerous coming. Perhaps coming just around the corner. Watch out back there, guys. Looks like we are actually caught in another flood. You might be in these splash zone right back there. Wow, that was weird, guys. It's almost like I knew that was coming or something. That was actually the Flash Flood, the very first attraction ever added on our tour back in 1968. You might have seen that in the music video for Lady Gaga's song Judas, or in the movie Big Fat Liar with Paul Giamatti. And there you have the Flash Flood. Much more enjoyed from the safety of a tram. You know, don't want to be that guy. Unless they pay, I guess not so bad. But we're going to get out of Old Mexico, cross over into the Old West now. Welcome to 6 Points, home of some of the most classic westerns and western stars. John Wayne, Kirk Douglas, Jimmy Stewart, Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, you name them, they're closing down these streets. Not as long ago, other stars like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, they were here for Quentin Tarantino's 9th feature film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Filmed several scenes here, won a couple Oscars for the film, including Best Production Design. Back to that, this is another great example of all that art direction stuff. Again, the specific colors they use, the style of architecture, the font of every sign, the design of every curtain and every window, all these little details. Nothing you ever see on screen is random or by chance. There is always someone or some department behind what you're seeing. Set dressers, set decorators, hundreds of people oftentimes in one department to help bring to life every facet of filmmaking. Now as we come around 6 Points, back up this side of it, back onto what is Steven Spielberg Drive, A man who needs not much of an introduction, probably. He's had some history there in 6 Points. His films Amistad and The Color Purple, both filmed partially here, but this will take us past Amity one more time. So I'm actually going to throw it over to Spielberg himself. He's going to tell you guys a little more about how Jaws made its way to the lot.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the traffic. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
All right, guys, we squeezed past shark territory one last time. We'll trickle down the food chain now and talk about chickens. Equally terrifying. There on your right is the Chicken Ranch, built back in 1982, with the best little whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. Our property before the lot was actually a chicken farm. First few years of the lot, when you could come on property for 25 cents, you could pay an extra 5 cents for a boxed chicken lunch. Right there on our left, Colonial Street, they're being used at the moment for a series remake of The Burbs, the film with Tom Hanks, making a TV show version of it with Keke Palmer, an Emmy winner who has had lots of history on our lot. But coming up past that, guys, we're still on Spielberg Drive. It's going to take us towards more Spielberg territory soon. I'll throw it back to Steven for a moment to tell you more about how his journey here began.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. It was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
Speaking of the lot, back in the 60s, on the left, that's one of the original glamour trams, as we called them. When the tour started in 1964, that's what our trams looked like. That's one of the OGs, 60 years old. Sits right here amongst some of our most popular picture cars. That's what we call any vehicle that shows up on screen, whether it's a car or not. It could be a plane, train, automobile, a tram, if you will. We'll still refer to it as the picture car on set. Now let's say you've been driving one of these picture cars all night long, guys. Let's set the scene. You're driving down the highway, it's dark, it starts raining. Maybe you're getting really tired. You need somewhere to pull over and get a good night's sleep, perhaps. You could do that right here at the Bates Motel. The iconic, the infamous motel from Hitchcock's classic 1960s, Psycho. One of the most influential horror films of all time. And speaking of, there's the owner of the motel now, guys. It's Norman. Hey, let me see. If you need a room while you're in LA, guys, maybe I can grab his attention. I think they've got vacancies. Hey, Norman. Norman, buddy. Right over here. Oh, okay. I think he's a little busy, guys. I don't want to bother him too much. He's in the middle of something. Looks like he's maybe doing some cleaning. He's mopping. Maybe just changing the sheets. He's escorting a guest to the car. This is a new service I think they're trying out. The trunk. That's an interesting place to put someone. Norman, I don't know how she'll drive the car from the trunk. It's It's okay, guys, don't worry. Despite what you've heard and seen, I promise Norman really is most of the time, you know, a pretty nice guy, usually. Nice guy. I meant nice Norman. No, not that. Oh, God. It's happening. Mike, yeah, let's just try the next time. Maybe we changed our mind, Norman. It's okay. You just get back to doing what you're doing. Watch out back there, car 4. Oh, God. You know, Norman, we didn't see a thing. We were never here. You just go back inside now. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I really don't know what's gotten into him other than we are passing the original Psycho house. This is where Mother lives, right up there in her rocking chair. He's a little particular about how we treat Mother. That might be why he's acting that way today. So look up there, you know, say hi, have a nice day, pay our respects to Mom, and we'll veer off the beaten psychopath now. Get out of Hitchcock territory before things get any dicier. We're gonna now go back to guess who? Spielberg. That's right. Here we are now in the middle of one of the sets from Spielberg's 2005 sci-fi epic War of the Worlds.
Wow, the airplane was perfectly designed for the set. That's just all designed around the vision.
He said, yeah, to sit down and talk about War of the Worlds. I thought, what if the 747 would be right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now close. Robbie, get in. Get in.
This is one of the largest sets ever built at that time, guys, largely due to the sheer size of the plane on the left. That is a real 747. Spielberg and team bought it from an airplane graveyard just north of here in the Mojave Desert. They bought it for about $60,000, which is a pretty good deal if you're in the marketplace for airplanes. It did cost them about $200,000, though, just having it delivered to the lot. It's always the shipping fees. That's how they get you. They had to chop it up in 4 parts, slice off the tops just to get it under the highway overpasses and onto property. Spielberg would have you think it's the aliens in the film that do that to the plane, and story-wise that makes sense, but it was really just a logistical problem that they've done the creative twist to after the fact. Now in a second here, we got one last stop to make, guys, on our tour. The stakes seemingly are getting higher. We're going to stick with this sort of UFO theme as we head up to Jupiter's Claim next. This is one of the sets from Oscar winner Jordan Peele's latest feature film, Nope. The third of his 3 movies. He's made all of them with Universal, kind of again chosen us as a home to make all of his scary stuff. He makes all 3 of his movies have been horror films. Nope has a little more of a sci-fi twist to it in the vein of Spielberg. I'm going to let Jordan himself tell you a little more about what to expect as we head in.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie K-Share. That's what this whole place is supposed to be based on. Remember that one? No? But a little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. So live. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy, Old Rush Frontier Town lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center Welcome to the world of No.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry guys, they didn't tell us when they brought the sets to the lot that they brought the alien activity with them, and alien abduction is not on the itinerary, especially when we need to get you back to the park and on with the rest of your day. That wouldn't be a great way to end your day at Universal. So speaking of, guys, we are going to head back to the park now as we travel back. That was just another great example of bringing the movies to life. If you haven't seen Nope, or if you have possibly, sound is a very important part of that. Sound design is another category at the Oscars as well. And it's always a combination of both visual and audio, bringing these things to life. And that is sort of what the whole tour is about. And all of our parks, if the tour does anything, hopefully it gives you some context to our parks. When you go to any Universal park, you'll see all of our attractions are based off of movies. That's because it all started with the studio tour. Well, the lot itself first. But as far as our parks go and any attractions, the studio tour was the very beginning, before anything else existed. 1964, the tour starts. Again, carrying on that tradition of taking you behind the scenes, showing you how it's done, bringing the movies to life. So the tour, of course, is still very much that exactly, and our park is all about that as well. All of our attractions, again, bringing some of our most beloved films to life for you guys to experience. And we're going to get you back to it here in just a minute. We're open till 9, so you got some time to go out there, have some fun in the rest of the park. But we thank you guys for coming and spending time with us at the tour, again, where it all began. 60 years old as of last summer. The lot itself, 110 years old as of today. Again, this was the day, 110 years ago, that studio lot opened. The oldest and largest one in Los Angeles. So I'll leave you here with some parting words from some familiar faces and their memories of the tour.
Tour so many times since I was a kid. I just loved every time.
The first time I wore one of the Universal lot was the tour.
I grew up in Los Angeles, and that was like the place to go to see Jaws. I got my introduction to Universal Studios like the tours that would be in the movies and seeing the trams drive by. It's very overwhelming. One of the coolest things actually about shooting for Universal is sometimes you get to shoot on the lot and then you look over and it's like there's Jaws, or there's the flash flood and all those trams are riding around. It's the coolest thing ever.
1979. Back then, tram drivers were kind of a little reckless, a little crazy. There was no restriction on cars going anywhere. We used to drive all over and kind of duel with them back and forth.
I have so many amazing memories of the lot when we were shooting Back to the Future.
Being here brings me back in time, I'll tell you that.
The tram would come through, the tourists would see Michael J. Fox, and they're taking their camera, snap, snap, snap. So one day, Michael J. Fox had his own camera, and every time the tourists came through snapping their pictures, he ran out and he started taking pictures of them.
Speaking of Back to the Future, guys, if you're a big Back to the Future fan, we got a brand new event starting in April called Universal Fan Fest Nights right here in our park and on the lot. You'll be able to go down to our Back to the Future sets, interact with characters from the film, several other of our biggest franchises across sci-fi, fantasy, anime, gaming, all throughout the park as well, and the back lot. That's going to be select nights in April and May. There's more info, there's tickets for that on our website now if you're interested, but we are pulling back into the park here. As we head in here, guys, just stay seated until those gates are lifted up for you, then we'll have you on with the rest of the day. But as they say in the business, that is a wrap for us at the studio tour. JT signing off. Again, we thank each and every single one of you.